This is Show Me the Nuggets with Joe Troyer. Welcome back to Show Me the Nuggets. This is Eduardo Trinidad from the Digital Triggers team. In today's episode, Joe and his business partner, Rob Warner, will help you navigate through the COVID-19 crisis, sharing key insights that will help you propel your business to not only survive in this current economy, but also flourish. The COVID-19 crisis has been devastating. It has left many of us in shock, suffering from grief, stress, and anxiety. It's our responsibility to make all of this temporary, and how we react to this situation is a matter of choice. Either you decide to be positive and move forward, or give in and surrender. Joe and Rob will help you make the right choices. Let's have a listen. Today, we have the pleasure of doing something a little bit different and having my business partner here, Rob Warner from Invisible PPC, to really give us a different point of view on what's happening right now with COVID-19 and to really be able to share what we're seeing happening, right, with lots and lots of agencies and local businesses through Invisible PPC and the reach that we have at Invisible PPC.
Hey, Joe, how are we doing?
Doing good, doing good. What time is it in the UK?
It's 7 o'clock and it's just getting dark now. It's been a good day today.
Gotcha. All right, fantastic. Good stuff. So, guys, we're excited to be here today, really talking about the coronavirus outbreak, and really wanted to give kind of an official agency State of the Union address. So lots of people talking about COVID-19, obviously, and the outbreak. But I see a lot of our customers coming into support, and we're chatting with a lot of them, needing help, needing a little guiding hand, needing a vision for the future and where they're going. And so that's what today is all about. When it comes to what type of prospects people should be thinking about right now, I'm curious for you, what comes to mind?
So for me, the kind of things that comes to mind are the people who have their lights turned on. So the people who are still providing services, those services that can be provided either that are more in demand because of COVID-19. A great example, we had a discussion internally today that we've seen a huge surge in search volume for business interruption insurance. Funnily enough, that's kind of a hot topic right now, so that's a good place to be. But anybody who has their lights on, and I would say particularly anybody who has their lights on and can provide remote services and things that have time sensitivity to them. You'll have seen us talking a lot recently about dental. Now, dental's a strange one because lots of dentists are shut, but they're still doing emergency treatment, because if you break a tooth and your mouth hurts, you want it fixing, and you don't want to wait until sometime in the future when this thing's over. So things like emergencies, things that can be done remotely, and things that are likely to be a fallout from COVID-19. There are some positives and some negatives that are going to come out of this in a few weeks' time when this all comes over. But there will be financial distress. There will be financial advisors opportunities. I'm seeing people like accountants and CPAs doing really well for things like SBA loans. You know, accountants and CPAs are doing great business right now, facilitating SBA loans. So, you know, my simple answer is look around you, look at what you see, and apply a little bit of common sense, and your list will naturally form itself.
Definitely, wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. So I was out on a walk. So every day I've been going for a walk twice a day just to get out of the house. And man, I saw all kinds of service-based businesses still out and about here in South Florida. HVAC companies, plumbing companies, pool cleaning companies, pest control, lawn maintenance companies. There's still lots and lots of commerce happening. I know that a bunch of our attorney clients have not stopped advertising and are still doing business. However, they've just kind of moved remote. So, I mean, there's still plenty of opportunity. My father's roofing company, they have a backlog of roofs that they need to get done, right? Like sales is ahead of fulfillment. And ultimately, right now, it's allowing their fulfillment team and the actual roofers to actually catch up because Corona hasn't really slowed them down at all. Right? They're still doing roofs. In some other verticals, people are very hesitant to have phone calls, but understand, like, for a restoration company, a water restoration company, if you have water damage, you have a flood like we had at our house, or now 5 months ago, 6 months ago, you got to call somebody, right? I mean, there's no other option. Were you going to say something, Rob?
I just said September was when it happened. I remember it well, as I'm sure you do.
So I think that water restoration companies definitely still a great opportunity. Dental, we just obviously sold the dental smart pages with all of the landing page sets and that asset pack, and obviously the dentist PPC Profits bundle. There's still a lot of dentists advertising, and a lot of dentists that have had a knee-jerk reaction and just stopping their advertising, I think, are thinking twice as well. Rob, any thoughts on that point specifically? I know we got some good news today.
Yeah, so dentists are going through, and let me just describe this more generally. I'll circle back to dentists if I may, Joe. When something like COVID-19 happens, the reaction is very much like a bereavement. There is a sense of grief, a sense of loss that turns into anxiety and stress, and then will often sort of be hit with a bit of depression and, just that sense. We know how we feel when this starts happening. It's really an uncertain, difficult time, and the mood and motivation naturally goes down. But there becomes a point in that cycle when everybody kind of goes, hang on a minute, we can't just sit around watching daytime TV and feeling miserable. We've got to get on and do some business. And so once that point kicks in, and it's different for everybody and it's different for different types of businesses, then we get back on and do it, and we start finding the ways. When we thought on day one that we couldn't do anything, by day 10, you're going, okay, actually, I've been thinking about this. I might not be able to do everything I'd normally do, but there are things that I can do. And you've kind of got that sense of what happens with it. And so today we got a phone call. We had a phone call from one of our biggest dental clients on Friday. I mean, he's got multi-locations. They closed everything down on Friday, shut all their practices. Today, they're a big corporate. Their grief cycle and their decision-making cycle is pretty fast. They went, okay, we're now equipped. We're ready to open for emergencies only. Get the ads running as fast as you can. Can you get them all up by lunchtime, please? And so we had to get 13 campaigns live by lunchtime today. And it just goes to show that people, once they've gone through that mental process, can come around to the commercial reality and the need for business to go on in a safe, smart, sensible way, but business still goes on. And they're now looking for us to, well, what they're doing is they're taking the calls at home. When they get an emergency call, the dentist and assistant are going into the practice, doing all the sanitation and providing the service. So it's great. And yeah, we've seen that a few today. We've seen increased budgets in a few other clients as well.
Perfect. Good stuff. Rob, you want to get started here with COVID-19 and your choice?
So I don't know if you heard the expression, and I can't remember who to attribute it to, so I apologize if I'm stealing somebody. Well, I am stealing somebody else's expression without their permission or without name checking them. If somebody knows who said this first, please call me out. It's a simple quote. The problem is not the problem. The problem is the way you think about the problem. And that's kind of what we're seeing with COVID-19. And I don't want to downplay the medical, real life-changing impact it's having on people from a medical perspective. Today, we're going to keep this talk primarily business. So I want your permission to do that up front. I don't want anybody to think that by moving on from the human side of this and the suffering and the distress and sort of, the fatalities that this is causing, we're not ignoring that. We know that's real. We know it's terrible for many people, and lots of people's lives are being turned upside down by this. But I'm not an expert in those things. I can't help with any of those things. What we can talk about, though, is business impact and business outcomes from this. As I said a few minutes ago, when you get a shock to a situation as we're seeing with the world going right now with this particular situation, we go through essentially a grief cycle, and you can document it. It's sort of documented how this works, where you go through grief, you go through anxiety, you go through stress, through depression. But most people come out of that on the other side, and they come out the side of it with a position to be able to become positive again. Some people don't, and those things become long-term depressions and long-term mental illnesses and problems, and that's dreadful. But we in our business need to understand that we get to choose how we react to this situation. Where are we spending our time? Are we spending our time watching news media, watching the drama, watching the crises unfold and treating it like some kind of real-life soap opera? Or are we on calls like this, listening to experts, taking guidance, seeking advice, looking for ideas, opportunities, and inspiration? You choose your path, and how you come out of this current situation will depend almost entirely on the choices that you make right now. And so I would urge everybody to make choices consciously. We use the word at Invisible PPC, intentional, a lot. Be intentional about what you do. If you choose to fill your head with news media, that's where you're going to focus your mind. Personally, my belief is don't sit there doing nothing. Don't accept that some clients have cancelled, therefore the world has ended. Figure out an alternative, get positive, get into action, and you'll feel a ton better. So it's your call, guys. My advice, and certainly, I think, Joe, it's fair to say you and I and our team have lived and breathed this for the last couple of weeks, is we get on and we create opportunities.
100%. Me personally, just weighing in a little bit here, if I'm not occupying my brain and my headspace, right, it's going to get occupied by something else, right? I'd much rather take Rob's advice here, right? And I'd love to focus on doubling down and building a business versus focusing on the media, right? And being glued to my phone and what's happening, because that's where my head would live then. So I know for me personally that I have to kind of block it out, and I have to control where my mind lives, right? And what I'm thinking about. And for me, I just know that about myself. And I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree that you're probably similar in that type of situation.
Yeah, I find, Joe, just to add, again, following on, the way my brain is wired, the one thing that feeds me more than anything is progress. It actually doesn't even matter that much what the progress is on, but I have to see forward momentum. I have to see forward motion. And so for me personally, I try and find wins wherever I can find them and find an action that I can take that moves me forward. Even as we have seen at Invisible PPC over the last few weeks, we've seen a whole bunch of clients cancel. And we knew it was coming, we've expected it to happen, but we're not just sat back and waited for it. We've already put things in place and we're taking steps every day. And so, that's your call. And I strongly recommend you do the thing that allows your head to function in a positive way, wherever that may be.
100% agreed. Definitely on the same page there. Fantastic. I just wanted to share with you guys that I really want to share some recent wins from us just internally, because I know that there's so much doom and gloom happening. It's hard to some degree to stay positive or to have a positive outlook. So I just wanted to share some wins that have happened, like quite literally, guys, just over the last couple of days since COVID-19 has started, that I think if you need it, you need a little positive push, or you need a little push in the right direction or in a positive direction. Hopefully this will help you guys. All right. So our biggest dental client who canceled last Friday just reactivated a dozen locations. And so, guys, just think about that. We're not going to talk about the exact revenue of that client, but guys, a dozen locations. You can imagine what that revenue looks like. That was a big loss, and that was a big win, them coming back. And one of our agency partners said none of their attorney clients are pausing for COVID. All of them are moving to phone and video consultations. So, hey, there's an opportunity for a market for some of you guys to go after, right? Attorneys, or maybe you already are. Plumbers are on freaking fire. It seems like a lot of people are throwing Lysol wipes down the drain, which has resulted in some pretty crazy things, right? So I want to say this with detail and with caution. We have an agency. What I mean by that is Rob and I own an agency, and no, not Invisible PPC. And what I mean by that is we own and run an agency just like you guys, where we go out and we sell marketing services to the local market, but we don't do it as Invisible PPC, right? We do it just like you guys do it. We throw deals over the line for Invisible to do PPC fulfillment so that we can test our own services, right? We can see how things are going, and we can play in our own little sandbox, if you will, and eat our own dog food. So one person over the last 3 working business days set 13 appointments with local business owners. So understand, again, folks, that there is plenty of opportunity, and businesses need our help more now than ever. What I will say is we had to make some slight adjustments to our scripting. We had to make some slight adjustments to our scripts in order for this to work as well as it is. And the key difference I'll share with you guys, the key difference is we're just not ignoring COVID-19, right? If you ignore it, your scripting that you've been using to get appointments probably isn't going to work anymore. Don't ignore the situation that's happening. So again, folks, we are in some crazy, unprecedented times, but that doesn't mean that all is doom and gloom and all is negative on the business front. There are still opportunities to help clients or prospects. There's still opportunities to help them get more clients and at a better cost. Okay, and all the opportunity hasn't quite just dried up like so many people are talking about. I wanted to share just a real quick share that I saw from Mike Michalowicz, who's a best-selling author. So Mike's an author. I just had the pleasure of interviewing him on my podcast, Show Me the Nuggets. And I've read, what is it now? I've read 3 of Mike's books. So I read Profit First, Clockwork, and The Pumpkin Plan. They are phenomenal books. If you're looking for great business recommendations on books, I would highly recommend you check them out. But to be honest, little pitch for the podcast here, I would really go listen to this episode with Mike and I, and you can get it at digitaltriggers.io/podcast. So little pitch for the podcast. And the reason why is Mike did a really good job of on the podcast with me walking through each book and really giving the high level takeaways, right? The high level nuggets of each book. And really turn them into, here's what you should be thinking about, here's why, and then here's like one tactic or one strategy you can go start implementing right away that'll help you see a result. And so it was just an absolutely fantastic podcast episode. But I saw him share this little graph talking about really breaking down how you handle the recession that's coming, or the recession that people are thinking are coming, and the response. And I really loved how he broke it down into cash flow, strategic planning, debt management, accounting, and tax. And I just thought it was super well done, super timely, and worth a share. So, and again, the content is great, right? Under cash flow, right? Cancel no or low benefit expenses, right? Business owners cancel no or low benefit personal expenses, right? Renegotiate terms. I don't know about you guys, but I spent 15 minutes over the last week renegotiating some terms because of coronavirus, and it's been nuts. I've dropped my monthly billing, my monthly expenses, a couple $100 a month, and probably about, again, 15, maybe 20 minutes of time investment.
This has been Show Me the Nuggets with Joe Troyer. Thanks for listening. For more exclusive content from Joe, please visit digitaltriggers.io.